the body's a computer. It's all it is. It's just a computer. And so what's going on, these molecules are coming together and breaking apart 1 billion times a second.
You're listening to the Begin Within Health Show with Nate Slager. For more, go to beginwithin.fit/podcast, or to enroll right now in our flagship coaching program, go to beginwithin.fit/coaching. Hey there, welcome back to the Begin Within Health Show. I'm thrilled you're here with me because today I have the author of this book with me. We have Benjamin L. Smith. The book is this: Why Are You Sick? That might be a good question, right? And not only are we going to answer that question, but we are going to answer a question that may be on our minds. If why am I sick is not on our mind, the question, how can I make sure I don't get sick, might be the next thing on our mind. That is what we're going to answer today. The full title of Benjamin Smith's book is Why Are You Sick? How to Reclaim Your Health with the Ultimate Health Model. And he's going to share that health model with us. If you are listening in a place where you can also get online, or you're able to watch the video version of our interview, we are going to spend some time on his website, theultimatehealthmodel.com, where he has some awesome graphics, and we are going to have some time to go through those with him today. So check out that website. If you can, while you're listening, awesome. If you can't, please get there later so you can check out his graphics. The art there it's great. It's very educational, entertaining. It's there for us. So please check it out and take a look at theultimatehealthmodel.com as well as his book. You're going to enjoy it. Benjamin Smith, here's a few things that we're going to talk about. First of all, the importance of structured water in health. We talked about hydration many times before on the show. We've even talked about structured water. Benjamin is going to put a whole nother spin on it. Promise. Listen for that. We're also going to talk about the interconnectedness of different health factors. That is going to be reinforced for us with his ultimate health model, how various factors work together to keep regular people like you and me healthy, to make sure we don't get sick, or if we are sick, in order to help us to heal and recover. We're also going to talk about mitochondria today. So if you haven't had biology class lately, that might be a word that doesn't pop up very often. It is going to come up a lot in our conversation today. You are going to love this interview. You're going to learn so much. So here's my interview with Benjamin Smith.
When I developed this, and I didn't even know I was going to do this, but it really answers every single question you have about health.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is you just ask it a question. It's almost like it's a living thing. You say, how do I lower my blood pressure? Or how do I balance my hormones if I'm a woman or a man? Or how do I, help to not get Alzheimer's? It's the same thing for everything, every single. And so that's why that model's so important, because those factors on the red side and the ones on the green side, those are the factors. And there might be some more, very small extraneous ones, but I don't think there is. Those are the basic ones that I figured out, and I've cross-referenced it hundreds of times to make sure it's correct. Okay. So you can kind of take control of your own health with this model. You just follow it and do the things on the green side the best you can, and don't do things on the red side the best you can. Now, really quickly, before we go into my story, one of the things on the red side is phones and EMFs, and we all know how bad EMFs are. There's a lot of studies out there, but we're on our phones right now. We have to. So you have to mitigate what you can do. The more stuff you can do on the green side, the better off you're going to be, and the fewer things on the red side, the better off. It's really that simple, and that's why I created that simply. It's so a 3-year-old could figure it out, or anyone could read. Make sense?
Yeah. Could we, since we're there, could we talk about the model, and then we'll go back to like where you came from, where it came from, and then
absolutely.
We have some time.
The model, can you pull it up so people can see it while we're talking? Just go to ultimatehealthmodel.com.
Yeah, let's do it.
So this is the optimum health model. So if you blew that up on the screen, all the factors contribute to a healthy cell. So in the middle is what's called a healthy cell, low oxidative cellular stress. And your listeners might have known the term of oxidative stress. That's, what causes or contributes to all problems.
Oop.
And so, oops. And so if you around that, so the reason there's circles is because those are spinning in the background 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to different degrees. So meaning that there's there's optimum hydration on there. There's reduced cellular oxidative stress, the middle one, reduced chronic inflammation. We've all heard of chronic inflammation. Boosted mitochondrial function. That's in the news lately. Everyone's talking. And so that's so important. And then a boost to the immune system. So all those things work synergistically when you're healthy to keep you just as a superhuman, right? And so the factors underneath are what contribute to all that. And those factors are stress management, nose breathing, and no one talks. There's been a couple books written about breathing from James Nestor, a couple of people, but nose breathing, I've studied that for years, is so important because mouth breathing causes most inflammation. Drinking structured, energized, mineralized water, and we'll talk about what that is. It's the basis of life. Awesome. Eating a proper diet of whole foods, meaning animal products and vegetables and fruits, and that's it. That's what was here. There was no cookies, there was no pastries, there was no nothing. Grounding to nature, connecting to nature, grounding, and grounding is so misunderstood, and not one. I can't emphasize that enough. That's more important than diet, Nate.
I love it.
And exercise combined. Sleep is on there. Sufficient quality sleep. I wrote the thing. I don't remember. Whatever else is on there. I mean, I'm a little nervous, right? But yeah, I wrote it. And then there's what else is there? There's the exercise, movement, obviously. I think that's it. Quality, sufficient sleep. Supplementing with folic and humic acid because the minerals are being depleted in the soil. And one of the reasons everyone is sick is because of the mineral deficiencies in the soil. And the minerals don't follow the sky. They come from water or the soil. They don't follow the sky. So when the minerals are not in the soil, they're not in the plants, and they're not in you. And the other reason everyone's is ill or there's a chronic explosion of disease is because of the EMFs. So those two things are the icing on the cake, as far as I'm concerned, that have contributed to all these problems. And everything else is obviously on the red side. We can click over there in a second, is a problem, but those things are kind of what wasn't around 30 or 40 years ago. And then all this stuff on it. So all those things contribute to optimum health, period. You do these things on the green side. And I'm not saying you're cure anything. I can't say that. All I can say is you will alleviate symptoms and feel better. There's no question about that. Not a question at all.
Nice.
So if you want to go to the red side really quick, it's just the opposite.
Oh, I love the
cartoon characters.
Graphics. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a whole story in my book with the cartoon characters.
Nice.
Where the people on the green side are helping the ones on the red side get healthy. So it's a whole cartoon story you can read with your kids. It's like it was a lot of work. So anyway, so these on the red side, it's unhealthy cell, which is chronic cellular oxidative stress. So it's oxidation stress is what it is. The cell is getting bombarded by free radicals, and there's not enough antioxidants to quell that damage, basically. And so then you get chronic dehydration, chronic inflammation, dysfunctional mitochondria, and a suppressed immune system. And what a lot of people don't talk about is chronic dehydration is at the root of most things, period. And we'll talk about water, because your body is obviously 70% water, but you're approximately 95 to 99 molecules out of every 100 are water. They're not exact number, but just remember, it's like most are water. So everything is just water in your body, and with a couple other things thrown in. And so I researched water heavily for the last 10 years because it just fascinated me, obviously, as you can tell.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
so, yeah, and then the factors are basically, stress, environmental stress, psychological, physical stress, mouth breathing, drinking unstructured, demineralized, de-energized water, eating, processed food, seed oils, excess sugar, the EMFs, mineral deficiencies is on there, lack of sleep, lack of quality sleep,
Mhm.
sedentary lifestyle, um, you know, um, whatever else is on there. Like I said, I wrote the thing, but I
Excessive
can't
alcohol. Yeah,
remember.
yeah. I forgot you were looking on your phone, and this is probably pretty
Yeah, I
tiny.
mean, yeah, because I'm a little nervous, but yeah, I mean,
You're doing great.
whatever's on there, I can see it. But all
Night
those
shift
factors,
work. Night shift work,
they're,
Benjamin. Yeah.
yeah,
I know you mentioned sleep. Could you talk about that a little bit? We haven't talked about that ever before on this show that I'm aware of.
yeah, sleep, because what it's doing is it's causing all the problems. So you just got to you work your way up the diagram. So the diagram tells you everything. So when you get lack of sleep, it causes chronic dehydration because it's causing stress on the cells. And
Mm,
here's something people don't know, Nate, that's really important. The, the stress management and water management portion of the body is incredible. So the body has to maintain a certain level of water at all times. So when you don't give it water because you're eating a bunch of sugar, which is dehydrating you, or using your phone, which is dehydrating you, the body goes into a state of water management. So meaning it preferentializes water to certain organs,
mm-hmm,
right? And then other organs don't get water,
mm-hmm.
or they get a limited amount because the
Mm,
body is constantly monitoring this stuff. And so when you're constantly dehydrated, the organs that are like the liver, the lungs, the heart, the brain, they have to have water, but your skin doesn't. So people get dehydrated, their skin gets ring. It's because the skin's not as important as your brain. So it pulls
gotcha.
water out of other organs and other areas to make sure there's enough, because the body doesn't know when it's going to get more water, right? So it's always under this constant water management system and drought system because it's
Gotcha.
not sure. Make sense? And
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
leads to all those problems on there. The sleep causes stress when you lack of sleep because that's the repair process, and circadian rhythms are what govern all your body processes. You eat in the daytime, you sleep at nighttime. So when
Gotcha.
all these things get out of whack, and the sleep, you're not sleeping, you're not repairing the cells, you're not regenerating the cells. That causes oxidative stress. So by definition, if it causes oxidative stress, it's going to cause a suppression of the immune system. And then that's going to cause chronic dehydration, and that's going to cause chronic inflammation. So by definition, if you work your way around the diagram, they're all
Mhm.
causing each other simultaneously to different degrees, synergistically.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We've certainly talked about sleep a lot here on this show. We have not mentioned night shift work, and that's what I thought was so interesting to see that called out right on your factor list as something that can be so
Because it's affecting the
harmful to
circadian
us.
rhythm. It's
Yes.
affecting the circadian rhythms. And that's why, um, anything it's going to, that's your biological clock. It's in your hypothalamus, in your brain. But there's also, I write in my book, there's also biological clocks in every cell. Every cell has its own biological clock, as well as the master clock in the hypothalamus. And the biological clock is in every cell, is in water, because everything's in water, really. I write in my book, if we understood water completely, we'd understand everything. But we don't, because it's just so complicated. But it's just, that's what's so fascinating about water. Everything isn't just in water, period. Everything.
Wow. Wow. Life is in water.
Well, yeah, but
Yes. Yeah.
everything, it's all the information stored in water.
Awesome. No, so good. Okay. Thanks for running us through that. It's super fascinating to me. I love trying to boil things down into their simplest elements,
That's right.
especially when it comes to wellness, right? That's what I try to do here on the show. And
That was super
I
difficult to do. That was
yes,
super difficult to
but I
make that simple,
I
but I did
love
it.
seeing it the way that you outlined it there. So that is that is great work. ultimatehealthmodel.com. Um, and I'm sure we'll be linking that in the show notes for our listeners to go check out those diagrams as well. So how you obviously now just listening, I can tell, Benjamin, that you've got a lot of information stored away. You've done a ton of research.
Yeah.
I know that just from a few minutes of talking with you. How how did you even start going down this path? Like
Yeah.
where did this start for you?
All right. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I just asked a lot of questions. My dad got mad at me. When he watches this video and watches this back, he'll start laughing. We'd be sitting there, driving somewhere. I say, Dad, why is the sky blue? And I said, is it because the light's reflecting off of something? You go, Ben, you're going to answer that or you want me to answer that? So you get mad at me, but I still ask questions because I want to know everything, Nate. I just want to know everything. And so I would just ask question after question. I'm like, why? Well, there's got to be a reason for things. And it was that curiosity. And so I wanted to be a naturopath when I was younger and a doctor, like in my 20s. I went to college. I didn't graduate. I went to Humboldt State. So after graduating high school, I went to Humboldt State. I like sciences and all that. And but then school wasn't for me. And so I thought, I don't want a degree. And I'm like, why do I need a degree? Because I'm always asking questions. What do I need a degree for? So I started asking all these questions. And then my mom was diagnosed in 85, my real mom. And she lived till 2019. So she was diagnosed with a C word, but they gave her the chemo and all those things, and she survived for 30 years, 40, what it was. That was great.
Mhm.
But she died in 2019, and by that time I've been really researching and started writing. But I'm like, this is not cool. And then all friends remind me how the C word, all relatives and family members. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I thought I got to figure this out. So I went to Primal Health Coaching, and I thought I got to start. I got to learn some things, more things than I already know. And Primal Health Coaching really aligned with my values because they're on a Mark Sisson's company's Primal Health Coaching, and it was all about living a primal lifestyle, paleo. Now that makes sense. We didn't have cookies then. People sprinted to get their food. They relaxed. They weren't in constant state of fight or flight. So all these things just made sense to me. And so I got a certificate from them. But I thought, I don't want to coach people. I'm like, I don't want to babysit people. I don't have the patience.
Okay.
So my friend says, why don't you write a book? I said, okay, I'll write a book. Yeah. That was excruciatingly difficult. I thought, okay, I'm going to put some words on paper and write. 4 years later, tens of thousands of dollars spent, bad ghostwriters, poor editors. The fact I wrote what I did is a miracle. Um, it is. To be able to put all those concepts into one book was excruciatingly difficult because everything relates together. And in our modern medical society, we have this reductionist view. Everything's, you have a dentist, you have cardiologists, you have dermatologists like my dad, but it's all separated. And I'm like, it's not all separate. It's all the same thing. And so I'd having to write in the book, I had to make these concepts separate and then make them all the same because it's all the same thing. And it was just,
Wow.
for 4 years, 24 hours a day. If I wasn't writing, I was thinking about it. So for 4 years, 24 hours a day, I was writing and thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I just came up with this model and my book and all that because it just made sense because I'd cross-reference something about hydration, about immune system suppression, about mitochondrial functioning. And I go, oh, well, that fits there, that fits there, and this does that, and that does that. And that's really interesting. It's just fascinating to me. The body is just a self-healing machine. It's perfect. And if there was no doctors 100, 200,000 years ago, won't we all be dead? I mean, think about it. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, if the body has to be repaired by something else, then how do we survive as a species?
Got it. So the book, the end result is your book, and that is it's Why Are You Sick, right? Is the name of it? That's the
and
title.
how to reclaim your health, the ultimate health model. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, like I said, we got a link in the show notes. That website, I know there's a button on the bottom. Get, learn about the book. Okay. Thanks for the background. Could we
Yeah.
dive in just, briefly to, because I know,
Briefly. I'll try
well, we've
briefly. You
got,
know me.
yeah. Hey, Benjamin, we're regular people here. So
I'll,
I know
I'll
you get
simplify it.
the
Yeah. The best I can.
biochem. I'm sure you could have multiple degrees in biochemistry at this point. Tell us a little bit about water. I know we talked about it
Okay.
already. I know that phrase that I mentioned that I saw on your site, the mystical properties of water, is what I'm
Yeah.
curious to learn a little bit more about.
Yeah. Okay. So this is how it works. Water is the basis of life, right? And if you think of our ancestors, ancients, and even people that practice today, why they have holy water, why they bless water, why they're so thankful of water, why people bless their food, because they're blessing the water. So water, at a fundamental level, is consciousness. Now I know that seems woo woo, and people go, what? But it's been proven, really. There'll be scientists say that doesn't make sense. Well, because they don't understand it. And so, but at a fundamental level, water is consciousness, meaning that consciousness expresses itself through water. So think about this, when you have bad thoughts, or like on my model, you have stress or negative emotions or thoughts, that negative thoughts and consciousness is affecting the structure of the water in your body. Okay. So water is consciousness, but it's also structured. And this is super important. I write this in my book. The structure of water is all that matters. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not the element that matters, it's the structure. So think about it like this, Nate. You have carbon. Carbon as graphite, it's carbon, which is soil. All the black stuff in the dirt, that's carbon. Carbon's everywhere. Carbon's also graphite, but it's also diamonds. How does one atom make all those different things? It's structure. So the elements are not that they're important, but not as important as the structure. The more complicated and intricate the structure is, the more information will be passed.
Okay.
So everything in the body is structured water, basically. Everything. And this has been proven to be true because there's something called easy water, structured water, hexagonal. There's a lot of different terms for it. But Gerald Pollack and there's a bunch of people that discovered this. The first guy that discovered it is Victor Schauberger back in the 1800s, and how water flows in streams like this. It's vortexing, it's structuring itself. That's what it's doing. The oxygen, the minerals, the sunlight, the magnetic field is structuring the water together into patterns. And so Dr. Pollack realized that there's this thing called exclusion zone water lining all the blood vessels. But also this exclusion zone water lines all proteins. So basically it lines everything. It lines your blood vessels. It lines all the organelles in every cell. So like the mitochondria, the nucleus, and there's something called a Golgi apparatus. This is really basic, biology, but all of it's lined by structured water. These complex patterns. It's basically a computer. And when I learned that, it just fascinated me. I'm like, the body's a computer. It's all it is. It's just a computer. And so what's going on? These molecules are coming together and breaking apart 1 billion times a second. The reason some people think this are skeptical of it because they can't see it. It's just happening instantaneously. I mean, you can't even see that. And they're coming together and pulling apart. But they're like Lego blocks, because water is a molecule of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen. And then you connect those together, they make a shape like Lego blocks. And think of it like this. This might make sense for the viewers. A snowflake. Snowflakes under a microscope are beautiful, right? They're these really intricate, beautiful patterns. They structure around a mineral. That's what they're doing in the sky. So dust. So that's exactly what's going on in your body. It's these structures that's passing light and information through these structures. And what they do is they create these hexagon patterns that are not infinite, but they connect together like a beehive or a snake eye. You know how hexagons kind of fit together perfectly? But don't think of them as flat. They're basically 3D patterns. So they fit together perfectly. And that passes information. When you destructure the water, you can't pass information as readily and easily. So it's all about the structure of the water, how much of it you have. And a baby has, it's like, I think 80%, don't call me the exact numbers, 80% structured water. An old person's like 50%. So aging, structured water causes aging. Aging doesn't cause structured destruction of water. The other way around.
Got it.
You age because your water gets destructured. The more it gets destructured, the more you age. And something really fascinating, the DNA molecule, so we're talking about the mystical part, this is really amazing. The DNA molecule is encased in a tomb or a structure wall, because everything's encased in water. And to what degree that complexity is to how well that DNA is functioning. And this complex, the way that it's structured, the DNA or the water structure around these DNA molecules is in a sacred geometric pattern.
So if destructuring water brings on aging, I know the question that I have, that our listeners probably have, that you probably get a lot, is what do we do about it? How do we, what's one of the easiest ways? I guess there's probably a lot of things. I know you have your model.
There's a lot of things. You know what's really the simplest way?
Yeah.
Yeah, the simplest way is you follow the things on the green. That's what I'm saying. That model I made is so impressive. You follow things on the green side. That structures water. The things on the red side destructure it. It's that simple. I mean, it really, I can make it complicated, but it's that simple. Because the energies of all these things, the food you're eating, the inflammation you're causing, whatever it is all causing stress and different energies, and that's destructuring it in different ways or structuring in certain ways. But nobody knows for sure exactly how all this stuff, works down to a perfect level. This is just the basics, but that destructuring means it can't pass information as readily. That's really all it's about. So also what's going on too is, your listeners might not know this, the mitochondria, it's not the water you drink, it's the water your mitochondria makes. Now, what do I mean by that? When you process food, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, right? It goes from glycolysis, if it's sugar, to pyruvate, to acetyl-CoA, through the Krebs cycle, TCH cycle, into the electron transport chain. And what that is, and if it's fats, it goes from fatty acids to acetyl-CoA to the Krebs cycle to electron transport chain. So once it gets to electron transport chain, these different molecules move electrons across it. So it's the orderly flow of electrons. So basically, you're like batteries too. We're basically batteries. It's flowing these electrons across these different complexes on the mitochondria, and the end result is energy called ATP. Well, in the fourth complex of this, oxygen mixes with hydrogen to make water. So the byproduct of eating food, which is the carbohydrates and the oxygen, turn into water, carbon dioxide, and energy. The water the mitochondria makes is structured water. The more mitochondria you have, the more structured water you make. That's why exercise is so important. A lot of people in the fitness industry, they talk about how the mitochondria, or they talk about how muscle burns more fat, you're more metabolically active, but on a cellular level, it's more metabolically active because you have more mitochondria, and that mitochondria is making structured water. The more structured water you have, the longer you're going to live. I mean, the better off you're going to be. So I write in my book, you better make mitochondria your best friends. And the more you have and the better they're functioning, the better off you are. And then once again, that relates back to the model. The things you do on the green side will boost your mitochondrial function, boost what's called mitochondrial biogenesis, which makes more mitochondria. It fuses them together, It fissions them, pulls them apart. The autophagy is on the green side, and fasting. Remember, you heard about fasting. Fasting takes all these old parts in the cell and recycles them. So it takes mitochondria, recycles them in the lysosomes to make a clean slate in the cell. It's like house cleaning. Anyways, the more mitochondria you have, the better off you are. And the things on the red side destroy your mitochondria. It's that simple. And the things on the green side boost it. And
Nice.
that's why when I made this model, like I said, I don't know, it came from divine inspiration, but it really answers most questions you have.
Yeah. Nice. I think that the mitochondrial connection for me, you get, boom, click, got it. That makes a lot of sense. And it so clearly connects back to the water that we
The
started
water we drink,
talking about.
and also sunlight. I write on the mall and in the book, and I've researched this heavily. Sunlight is so important, and the mitochondria use sunlight to make energy too. So it's a sunlight and then the food. So we use photosynthesis just like plants do, with the same exact thing, and people don't understand that because you're using light and carbohydrates and oxygen to make energy. Plants are using light, carbon dioxide, water, and soil microbes. We haven't get into that yet, but soil microbes to make energy. And we do the same thing. We take our microbes in our gut to make energy. It's just fascinating how whoever this person who created us is just a billion times smarter than us. It just fascinates me every time I think, oh, there's probably some anomaly here, or something's not right, or nope, it's all perfect all the time, 24 hours a day, period.
Awesome.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is cool. It is awesome. It's true. I say that word a lot, but in response to where you're at now, what you're talking about, I'm like, that is awesome.
It's astounding what everything is perfect.
That's awesome. It is. It's just awesome. I don't know. I don't have a better word for it personally, but I appreciate you so much for spending some time unraveling a little bit of that awesomeness to help us understand better. I guess my final question for you today would be, I guess I'm curious most, and I know you're not coaching, but as you're helping others to understand this, what would you say is one of the most important things that people aren't doing that they should be in order to benefit from the things that we've been talking about? What's the low hanging fruit in people's lives where it's like, oh, if people would just start doing this thing, it would help them so much?
That's a tough one because all those things on the green side are important. But I write it in my book. I kind of put them in order. And the order is breathing, sleeping, water, food, exercise, thoughts and emotions. But they really all go. They're all important.
Yeah.
Obviously, but you had to put them in some kind of order.
Yeah.
I think it's really tough because breathing is probably it causes, I don't know the exact number, 50% of your inflammation. I don't know that. I don't want to quote him on this. It's a lot.
Significant
Mouth
amount.
breathing causes so much inflammation, and that's why people that sleep apnea are more prone to disease or these sleeping disorders, because when you breathe with your mouth, you're taking in oxygen, but you're offloading too much carbon dioxide. And what people don't understand, if they're not in this space, is carbon dioxide and all tissues needs oxygen or they die. So when you offload too much carbon dioxide, the oxygen stays stuck on the red blood cells because they compete for space. So when people think about this, and this everyone knows this, when you hyperventilate into a paper, why do I tell you to hyperventilate into a paper bag? Or if you're hyperventilating, why do you do that? Like, why do you say breathe in a paper bag? You can breathe back in more carbon dioxide to release the oxygen from the red blood cells. So when you're constantly mouth breathing, and I did this for 50 years, you're releasing too much carbon dioxide. What happens is the cells become somewhat hypoxic, meaning they don't have enough oxygen because the red blood cells are holding on to the oxygen because there's not enough carbon dioxide competing with it.
Nice.
And when I learned that, I think I did learn that from James Nestor. I don't know, somewhere reading something and watching a video, but that really blew my mind. I was like, oh wow, that's super important.
Yeah.
So keep your mouth shut as much as possible. The less you breathe, the better. I
Yeah.
know that sounds kind of funny, but and you can do what's called adaptive things, adaptive stresses. So like Wim Hof mentions, like you do like kind of because that's adaptive for just a short period of time, kind of like sprinting, kind of like using your phone for just short periods of time. These adaptive stresses are really important to build the body and health. The chronic stresses are what cause problems. Chronic mouth breathing, chronic exercise, and I'm sure you've heard about that. People do, run, 26 miles, once a week, and then they get heart attacks. It's too much stress on the body, and then all the things that are on top of the phones, all the things that have been added in the last 30 years, people aren't considering those stresses in their lives. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to consider all these stresses that weren't around 30 or 40 years ago. So nose breathing, keep your mouth shut as much as you can, and eat less carbs if you can, and less sugar. You can eat fruits and vegetables because they're mostly water, but try to minimize the carbs, and especially the sugars. And there's no people. This is no mystery. And what the sugar does is just like my model says, it causes inflammation. That inflammation could be in your nose. If it's in your nose, it plugs up your nose. You have to breathe through your mouth. So the more you breathe through your mouth, the less you can breathe through your nose. It's a vicious cycle. The more carbs you eat, the more things you do on the red side, the less you'll be able to breathe through your nose. Right? So that's why that model, once again, that model is so telling for everything. You just got to look at it and ask it questions, almost like it's your doctor. I mean,
I like
it's
that.
like a substitute doctor. Yeah, it's like a substitute your doctor, but it's a tool that a lot of people will be able to use now to help themselves diagnose things and go, okay, I'm going to start doing this. I'll do this, and I won't do this, and I'll take this medication because I got to do this. But it's just a blueprint, really, that I've created here, that's going to help people understand, if they want to understand their health challenges and how to get better.
I love it. Yeah. So we'll have your site linked. Also, I didn't mention this, but you've got a poster that people can download and then use as a
Yeah,
reference. Yeah,
that's that ultimate health model.
I
So if
love
they
it.
go to if they go to, just put on your fridge, if they go to the website ultimatehealthmodel.com, they can download that. And then the book is Why Are You Sick and How to Reclaim Your Health, the Ultimate Health Model. If people have questions, they can always send it to the ultimatehealthmodel.com, and me or my team will try to answer it. We're super busy, as you can tell. And but in our next book, what we're going to do, interesting enough, is all the questions we get, we're going to answer in the next book. This book is not going to be coming out for a while because I just wrote this one, but that way people can say, hey, Ben, I don't agree with cholesterol, or I don't agree with structured water. Okay, well, tell me what your issue is and let's discuss it and let's try to figure this out together. And
Nice.
so I think that's a good idea because this will answer questions that people have about my model, about the whole book.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. We love to have you back on the show as well down the line. I know
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
scratching the
Just tell me.
surface here. This is
there's so,
awesome.
yeah, there's so much in my head. It's like a magnet, it's like a tape running. It's like, okay, just say, hey Ben, tell me about soil health.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
ding 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 ding.
Oh,
It's just
I
like
love
it just
it.
starts rolling.
Yeah. I
So
admire that.
there's so much more to discuss.
Yeah, no, I admire that so much. I am so grateful for you being here and sharing so much knowledge, putting it in there in the first place, and then being willing to share it the way that you do. I
Yeah.
appreciate
And
that.
who was
So
it? Was it understand? I hope I didn't confuse people. I tried to make it as simple as possible. They might have to watch it a couple times. I go to my website, but
yeah,
was it? I
no, it was
hope I
great.
simplified it
It
the
was
best
great.
that I could.
I'll put it to you this way. I've been doing this a long time. I've been in, health and fitness space for a long time. And the uh, you made some light bulbs go on for me today. So even if some of the
Wow.
listeners, if they're like, whoop, I appreciate it. This is going to be one of those interviews I'm going to be talking about, with my friends and family for
Wow, I
for a while here.
appreciate that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate that, man. Because sometimes I think I'm just kind of I'm not that smart, or I just think, no one cares about what I say, and so because back in my real mom was not nice to me. My stepmom, I love my stepmom to death, but my point is that I write this in a book, is that your upbringing is so important,
yeah,
and my real mom was horrible to me, and I
mm,
think, I can't do anything right, and no one likes me, and all this, and so hearing positive stuff helps me with my confidence, because
yeah.
even though I wrote this and I go, man, this is amazing, I still think it's nothing. I think, oh, it's stupid, or well, not stupid, but you know what I'm saying? It's that mental stuff in my own head
No,
that's
I
really
think
hard
that's
to
I think
overcome.
that's normal. I mean, I speak a lot, and a lot of times just before I go on stage, my thought is always like, why am I even? There's nothing here. What am I even going to talk? Why am I talking about this? This is so boring.
Okay,
This
so
is
I'm
so
not alone.
simple.
Yeah.
This is so no one's going to care. But I think we kick it around in our heads so much that I mean, I think once you feel that way about it, you're ready to start sharing it. You're onto something, because it's clicking together for you in such a way that it makes so much sense that it almost seems like, well, this is obvious. What's the point? It's not so obvious to the
Hmm.
rest of us. So thank you.
and I
Thank you
and
for
I,
sharing
I
that.
forget that. I forget that sometimes, because I'll be at my local store, and people have a bunch of Cheetos or cookies in their cart, or soda. I'm like, how is this not obvious? Because I'm in really good shape,
Yeah.
as you can see. I'm in good shape, but I work out. I work out 3 times a week with a trainer. I go to do Pilates. I eat right. I do all the stuff in my house because I know what to do. And
Yeah.
you're right. I just assume everyone knows, because it's just such common sense to me, because I know all of it. But so I
Yeah.
forget, like you said, that this is not. But then the light bulbs go off people's head like you, and that's really important to me, and really makes me feel good that, wow, these things you never thought about, mitochondria and structured
Hmm.
water. Oh, okay, and you click,
Yeah.
and then you kind of put other pieces together and go, well, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, and that's what I do with that model. It puts all the pieces together.
Yeah.
All the puzzle pieces are together. That's it.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And as you were outlining the order that you put them in, for me, I was like, oh, this is almost like the order of, when someone's first born. What are you doing? You're breathing, you're sleeping, you're drinking, you're eating, you eat that right down the line, like the first hour of my
I
life.
didn't think about it like that, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So I
Your
love
first
that you
breath.
start,
They call you by
hey,
your first breath.
let's breathe. Yeah, let's start there. I think that's a great place to start, and something that I'm going to be pulling out of this conversation for sure and sharing with this episode. So anyway, Benjamin L. Smith, thank you so much for being here and sharing all of your knowledge with us, helping us out today. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Nate. I really appreciate it too. Thank you so much.
Benjamin Smith, thank you so much for being here with us. And as a reminder, check out his site. The link is in the show notes, ultimatehealthmodel.com. Ultimatehealthmodel.com. And of course, his book, which you can get linked to there on his site, Why Are You Sick? How to Reclaim Your Health with the Ultimate Health Model. So cool to be able to go through some of that with him. Follow his work, check it out. So, just to recap, we want to take good care of our mitochondria, right? Every single individual mitochondria. We want to take good care of them. We want to be good farmers for our mitochondria. How do we do it? Well, here are some of the things that we talked about. And as I run through this list, this is just a list that I curated from my interview with Benjamin. Think about how this connects with your life. And, we talk a lot about picking one thing to focus on here on the Begin Within Health show. So as I go through the list, what I would encourage you to do, even though they're all important, even though they are all interconnected, is think about where the low hanging fruit is for you right now in your life. And even if these are things that you have heard about before, these are aspects of health that you've heard discussed before, even here on the Begin Within Health show. think about your situation right now and which one might be the best one for you to start with. Maybe it's the low-hanging fruit, right? The one that's the easiest, that's going to make the biggest difference. That's where I always like to start. But think about it also in terms of, I want to take good care of my cells. When I do these things, I'm not just healthier, I'm actually making a difference on a cellular level. That might be, for me, the biggest lesson that I'm taking away from this interview with Benjamin Smith is that these decisions are absolutely right now, today, at this moment, they are making a difference in what's happening within our cells as we do these things. So what things can we work on? How can we be good farmers, good caretakers, good shepherds for each and every single mitochondria in our bodies? We talked about breathing, and that might be the one that, like Benjamin mentioned, that might be the one that will make the biggest difference. It might be the easiest one to give some attention to. Nose breathing in particular. All right. Exercise. That's where I come from. That's what I'm all about. I love it. Exercise makes such a difference to me. Benjamin emphasized it as crucial for increasing the number of mitochondria and the function of them. Sunlight exposure. How are we doing with that? Of course, at the time that this episode comes out, it's summertime, and maybe getting some sunlight exposure is easier because the daylight hours are longer and the weather's nicer. But regardless of the time of year, we need to make sure that we're getting connected with the sun. That is a big way to help us and help our cells right now. Proper hydration. We talked about that in the intro. We spent a lot of time on that in the interview. How is my hydration? An important question for us all to ask ourselves. Good quality sleep. How am I doing with that? Maybe you're like me. From time to time, it's good to just focus on bedtime. Focus on that bedtime. Getting to bed on time so we get enough time. We have the opportunity at least to get enough sleep so that we're feeling good. Of course, reducing stress. We talked about that. Proper nutrition. Huge. All of these things connect up together, as well as avoiding the things that were on the red side of Benjamin's ultimate health model. Things like excessive EMF exposure, processed foods, chronic stress, all things that are making a change in our cells as well. Just not the change that we want, right? So being aware that those two sides, the green side, the red side, they are working. I want to say they're working together, but they're actually opposing each other, right? And we need to do more of the green stuff, less of the red stuff in order to benefit ourselves. So my final question for you is, which one? Which one are you going to focus on? And I'm serious. We're here on the show. You invested some time in listening all the way to this point. The question is, which one are you going to put some effort into? Going to put some energy behind? And of course, if you could do more than one, awesome. But at least pick one, put some real effort into it, some real intention into trying to improve in that area. Your cells are going to benefit. You're going to benefit. You're going to feel the difference. Thanks again for listening all the way to the end of the show. I am thrilled that you shared some of your time and your attention with me here by listening to the Begin With in Health show. I ask you, please, if you could, share the episode with someone else. The link in your podcast player or however you're consuming this episode, share it with someone that you care about, and definitely check out the show notes for more resources that can support you in becoming the healthiest version of yourself. Please continue to take good care of yourself. I'll talk with you again soon.